sorry about the noise. That's Jess chewing her bottle down underneath me here. She's just there underneath the bench and she's just come out. She's over here now. So anyway, been a while since we've seen this one, hasn't it? This is now part 11 of the Chieftain. This is the Meng Chieftain Mark 10. I've done it in the Berlin camo scheme. Some of you will have already seen the work going on. And as you can see, the sides are removable via magnets. We've got the green inside there, which is how it would have been, because they wouldn't have bothered painting in behind there with Berlin camo, would they? So there we go. So we're ready now to, we got the wheels painted up in part 10. Remember, we got those all done, so they're nice and black on the front faces and green on the back. And we've got our sprockets and everything here. You can see they're painted in black on the front faces, but they're green on the inside. So we're ready to now start looking at some tracks. And some of you will know that a company called Quick Tracks got in touch with me a while back, a few months ago now, and said, would you like to sample our tracks for your Chieftain build? And if you remember, I did a review and it didn't go very well at all. And it turned out that they'd sent me parts and they'd got mixed up with development parts. They had some issues with the development, as I guess everyone always would. And I ended up doing a video thinking I had some really good parts to show you guys, and they were a nightmare to put together. So they didn't realise what was going on. Then they looked at it again, and then they realised where the mistake had been made. So basically what I've got now here is a set of production tracks, and they are ready to go. And I've already done a review on these. You can see I've assembled some here, and as we can see now, these things are wonderful. They just clip together just like so. You put one side in just like so, and then push, and they clip together, and that is it. That is all you have to do to assemble your tracks. No pins, no jigs, no cutting off wire, nothing like that. Just clip them together and away you go. Now if you remember when I did the first video, I was trying to push them together like this. It was actually hurting my fingers. And then the owner of the company came back. He said, I don't understand it. My wife made a set in 10 minutes. So obviously there was something wrong, because yes, anybody could build up a set of these. I'm not saying they can do it in 10 minutes, but anybody could build up a set of these. The ones I had first time, you'd know where you'd have done it, because you'd have ended up with no bloody skin on your fingers. So all is good. So you can actually do them on the bench if you want to. You can put them in the side and just clip them in like so. So if you want to make it a bit less painful on your fingers, whatever. But the other way you can do it is just to hold them up. Now, since I made that video, Quick Tracks have come and asked me if they can use my video for a guide on how to assemble the tracks. So quite chuffed about that. So why have we got these tracks? I've said this will be the third or fourth time now. The tracks that come in the kit are quite nice. They're in a white plastic, which is unfortunate. It's going to be a nightmare if you have any of that showing through when you paint them. And they go together beautifully. They're nice and straight. They're nice and flexible. They're really, really nice. Cut the downsides, they have ejector pin marks in them, so they have to be sanded off. They have 2 ejector pin marks on this face. But the biggest problem with them is, as you can see on this side of the track, it has a pin, okay, that pushes the holds them together. On this side of the track, we have a hole. So, and the tracks aren't handed, so one side of your tank is going to have a hole showing, and the other side will have the pin showing. If you're going to plaster the mud and everything, then, you know, does it really matter? Probably not. But these tracks have, one, they're not that white light grey plastic. They have pins on both sides, as you can see. They're very flexible. They're much more flexible than these. You can see these aren't really that flexible. They're okay, but they're not as flexible as these are. These are sort of ultra flexible. So they're going to sit nicely. Not this going to matter on your Chieftain if you're going to glue these side panels on, because you're not going to see the tops anyway. But yeah, basically, and then they're not in that light grey plastic. They're in this sort of rubber black coloured plastic, and the idea is you can remove the paint from these rubber pads after you've painted them, and they should look pretty good. Now remember, these tracks were obviously cast iron or steel. I guess they were cast steel, and then they would have been painted black. They may have had some rust on them. This area here would be quite polished from the rubber of the tyres going over them, because you've got your, where's my wheels gone? Where are my wheels gone? There they are. You've got the road wheels here with the rubber tyres on, and they will have like a polishing effect as the tracks roll under them. Okay, so remember that. So you can have a few different colour variations. Also remember these tanks, I've got a Berlin Chieftain book that was kindly sent to me by Phil, and thank you very much, Phil. And most of the pictures of these tracks, they're in streets, so they didn't sort of get plastered in mud and stuff. They got a bit dusty. So as far as weathering on this, I'm not going to go mad, because it would appear that they kept them very nicely painted. They kept them sort of rust free, and everything was all kept, so they were looking lovely. They weren't like brand new like this. They obviously were just after they were painted, but they certainly didn't get beat up and had, you know, mud everywhere and all that. So there we go. I've waffled enough. I'm going to go on and get these tracks built up. The main instructions say 95 links per side. Where is it? Here we go. They say 95 links each side. So I'm going to try 95. Now with these tracks, we have a special end piece. Now there's only 3 in there. You think there'd be 4, but you only need one end, because this part of the track here has a hole going through, and all 4 parts. There's a hole all the way through on these, okay? But on this side we have pins. So what they've got here, these links are the special end links with wire. I can't get them out of the bag because I can't open the bag because I have no bloody fingernails, because I bite them off because I'm a nervous wreck. No, so basically what they've done is where those pins are, they've drilled through and they've given you a piece of wire to put through. And the reason they've done that is when you come to join the tracks up at the end, obviously you can't do that to clip them together. So that's what they've done. They've given us this wire so you can assemble them, take them apart, whatever. So you just put the piece of wire in there, drop a super glue on either side, job done. So I'm going to go on and build these now. I'm going to build 94 links and we'll see how they look. I'm not sure what that is on there. What is that? It's like some kind of coating or something. It's a bit weird. A bit weird. The other thing I don't know, I need to email them, is ask them if these are safe with oil washes and stuff, because I would like to put a wash on them. So I will drop them an email and they will reply straight away. They do go together very easily actually if you do them on the bench. Just lay them down and push them together like that. Very nice. And these little pins you get everywhere, these will be support pins that when they make them, they're 3D printed, they will have those support legs. We've all seen the support legs, and they probably just break them off, and then you get loads of these little bits left in here, so that's nothing to worry about. So I'm going to go on and get these done, and then I'll come back and we'll see how they look, and in the meantime I'll find out if it's okay to give them oil washes and stuff, but first we're going to build them. Okay, so I've done the, I've built them up now. I built up 94 links, I tried them on the tank, I've got all the wheels fitted, and I found they were quite short. So what I've done, I've got this this main track out, and as you can see, if I put them the same way round, if I put them both level with the edge of the modelling board there, you can see that there's 96 links in here. I think there's 95 in this one. So you can see these links are slightly smaller. And what I've done, I've left one off the end because it's going to be that special link with the holes in it. So that's going to enable us to put the wire through. So what I've done, I've fitted them on there. Unfortunately, the way it works, if you go, like, I can't remember if it's 95 or 97 now. No, it's 97 or 96. You'll work it out when you do your model. But 96 is like way too tight. They're like rubber bands. 97 is a little bit loose. So I'm going to go for the little bit loose and have a bit of sag in the top. Yeah, they weren't actually dead tight. I don't think, when I'm looking at pictures of them, they don't look like they were absolutely dead tight. So so there we go. So obviously they had to be adjusted. So these were near the end of their adjustment regime. So they, you know, they were quite loose. But they are very, very nice, and they do look lovely, and they fit the tracks, they fit the sprockets and the wheels and everything perfectly. So I'm going to go and build another one up, and then we'll wait to see what they come back with as far as the painting instructions go. Okay, there we go, guys. I think it's about 96 links I got there. When Greg told me that he said his wife had built them in 10 minutes, I believe him, because I've just gone over to my left to my computer, looked for a video to put on, and I noticed something new had come up, which is the transcript of the crew aboard the submarine that tragically imploded back a few months ago. I thought that'd be interesting to listen to, so I built this up, and then as I finished, I sort of turned around, looked at the screen, and it finished. And I noticed the time, 9:46, 9 minutes 46 seconds to build that track. So as you can see, and my fingers aren't red or bleeding or anything, and I've put the special link in the end that has the holes right through, and now we can connect them together. As you can see, when we connect them together, there's no clipping action, they just slide in and then we just put the wire through. So all in all, lovely. Now before I do anything else, I've got to wait and find out what they recommend. Do they need to be washed? Do we need to use some thinners? Do we need to use a certain paint or not use a certain paint? I'm going to wait and find out and see what they say. There's no instructions on the box or anything about painting them. So once again, we're a little bit stalled waiting for information. So I'm going to get these tracks painted. I guess in the meantime I'm going to do some major assembly, but what I'd rather do is get all the bottom of the hull and everything done, and then it's all done, and then we can work on the top. Because if I start placing it on its side, we've got detail on there, things are going to start getting broken. I just want to show you quickly how she looks. I haven't seen this myself yet. See how much of the wheels we can see and everything on there. There we go. So that's how she looks with the wheels on and everything. All lovely, isn't it? Hey, all lovely. Right. So I'm going to call that a day for now, but I'll see you a couple of minutes for you. Sorry, a couple of seconds for you, but a long time for me. Just wondering what's missing there. There's a hole there. There's probably something going to go in there. It's probably the end of the cable or something. So I'll see you all in a minute. Hey, welcome back. Right, sorry if the camera's whited out. I need the paper towel here because we're going to do some painting. I've been in touch with the manufacturers of the tracks, and they said pretty much you can use anything. So I'm going to use dark iron as a base for my tracks, which is what I generally do. And what I'm doing, I've got this rod here. So what I can do is pull the track over the rod while I paint it, and then that basically get the paint in all the open nooks and crannies then. That way when you open the track up you won't see the nooks and crannies, and that's one of the big disadvantages with the kit tracks being in this sort of off-white grey plastic. They're going to be very difficult to paint. So what I'm going to do is do this, and then we'll go around and remove the black, and then I'm going to use some pigment to get the shiny bit on the inside here, because looking at photographs it looks as though those horns in the tracks, you can see here, you can see on there how shiny they are. They're absolutely polished. You can see on that one there, they're very clean and shiny. So worth bearing that in mind. You can see them here, all shiny. So yeah, there's another one there. You can see there, they're almost like chrome. So we'll get them all nice and polished up. And then I'm going to, I'll put in a black wash and some maybe some earth or something. I always say tracks don't rust, but they certainly do appear to have a level of rust on them. Look at that one there, you can see the tracks on that one are really shiny. But you can see that when you look at close-up pictures like here, it certainly does look like they have an element of rusting on them, even if it's a very fine amount. So there's bits of silver, there's all sorts going on. I think we better leave cleaning the pads right until the end. So what I'm going to do here is with this dark iron, I'm going to spray the end link. That's why I've got this sort of bent over, so I can make sure I get the paint into all the nooks and crannies, so you won't see the grey plastic. So now we can put this over here, look, and this is going to get messy. I think we can paint that in there. Just do a little bit here, I'll do the rest in the booth I think. But you can see, put this over here, and that enables me to get the paint into all the nooks and crannies. And then what we can do is turn it over and do the same on the other side, and again that will enable us to get the paint into all the bits and pieces. Okay, so there we are, and I'll do the rest in the booth because this is thinned with leveling thinners and it's a bit smelly, but I love this colour, XF84 Tamiya. It's fantastic paint. Right, so I'll get the rest of this done in the booth, and then I'll come back and we'll look again at doing some more. So they're all painted now in the XF84, was it? XF84 dark iron, as you can see. they look lovely, all dulled down and everything. So what I'm going to do now is the centre part that gets polished, and for that I'm going to use, this is MIG Pigments. There's lots of different pigments you can get. This is very old, and all the stuff I got is old because I'm old. So but this stuff is brilliant. You watch this. So what we're going to do, we're just going to rub this on where the wheels go and on the sides of the horns. I'm just going to put some on a cotton bud, as you can see, just rub this on. And this is called gunmetal. We can rub it on the sides of the horns as well. And the beauty of this is you just put it on, and then you can actually polish it with your finger even. And it's also great for doing sprockets. If I can find a sprocket, I can show you here. We can basically get some of this pigment, put it on the sprocket, just like so. I'm sorry if the camera's whited out, I'll try and sort it out in the editing. And then you can rub your finger on it, or indeed rub it with a cotton bud. You should be able to get it to shine. It should come nice and shiny. You can see on there we're starting to get some shine. So it looks like this actually you can get this lovely metallic sort of rubbed and polished look rather than using paint. You see that on there? It's very effective. You can actually just get some on your finger and rub it on. I'm not sure if it's good for your skin or not. It's probably not good for your skin. I'm not sure if it's bad for you or not. I don't have a clue. But you can actually dip your finger in like this and then rub it on to get that polished sort of worn look. It's a dirty job, hence the paper. But there we go. So we're just going to do this all over the tracks. Remember where the sprockets go as well. They would be kind of polished. But I just think it looks so much better than paint because it's kind of uneven, just like it would be. Now you can see where it's coming through the tracks. So we'll get this. This is why I'm not doing these pads until the end. But yeah, so I'm going to carry on, get this done, make a hell of a mess, and I'll see you back for the next step. There we go. Fingers are all shining out like a bloody tin man, don't I? So there we go, that's them all done, and they're nice and bright and shiny, but I can't seem to get the pigment to take on the sides of these horns, so I think I'm going to have to get a couple of strips of masking tape and actually spray them. But I have done the idlers. As you can see, your finger is great for polishing it up. So they've got that sort of polished steel look to them now on there like that. And we've also done the sprockets, as you can see. So we may actually dry brush those as well. In fact, I've got my dry brushes here. Is that the one? I don't think that's the one, is it? No, that's not the one. Where is my dry brush gone? My dry brush has disappeared. Here it is. So I think we may actually dry brush these as well. This is literally, I mean, this, you've seen me use this a lot. This is put into paint, and I haven't put any fresh paint on this for weeks. So there we go. That's quite an authentic look now on that sprocket, I think. With the, you know, when you compare it to that one, it's a lot more authentic with the worn away paint. It's amazing how far you can get with this stuff with dry brushing. This is the this one here. This one here, aluminium, number 218, Mr. Metalizer. Absolutely fantastic stuff. The best dry brushing medium there is. And because it's such a tiny amount that's coming off, it does look a lot like steel, as you can see there. So it's just picking up on the edges, and the actual pigment I've used is dealing with the rest. So there we are. So that's that. Right, I think I'm going to have to mask these up and spray those horns, because I do want that bright shiny look to them, because that looks so typical of the tank. So what I've done here, I've got 2 layers of masking tape. Obviously it's probably going to pull that pigment off when I pull it off, but that's just left the horns exposed, as you can see there. And I've got a dirty old cutting mat, so it doesn't matter if I get paint on it. Just do a quick test on here, and what I've got in here is LP70 gloss aluminium, and I'm just going to lightly blow in the edges of these horns. You can see I haven't masked that very well at all there, have I? So grab my tweezers, pick up the masking tape again, and yes, it's removing all that pigment that I put on there. Great. So I'm kind of thinking what we may as well do, is just paint the whole lot silver, but nah, I won't bother. That's better. Right, so now we can just spray the edges of these horns. I just want to get that nice metallic look to them. Without going too mad. We'll turn it round. Do the other side. Never masked these very well at all, have I? Let's just push the tape down. There we go. It doesn't need to be perfect after all. I mean, you're not going to see most of it, because the top half's going to be behind the skirts, and most of the bottom half's going to be behind wheels. So. But, it's something I noticed in the pictures, so it's something I want to portray. And there we go. So we should be able to take this tape off of here. As we can see, it's taken away all our lovely shiny pigment off the tracks. There we go. There we are. These really are lovely tracks, guys. I'm not saying that because I got them for nothing. They really are very, very nice indeed. They're very flexible. Today is Thursday the 12th of October 2023, and last night I did a video and showed you about I'm just going to chuck a bit of silver paint in just to help. Last night I showed you the video of they sent me of their Challenger 1 tracks, and they look really nice. So I'm looking forward to getting those. They were done for me, I think. There we go. There we are. So I'm happy with that now. We've got our nice bright shiny horns, as you can see there, which seem to be typical of the variant. So I'm going to get the other one done, and then I'll be back. Okay, so tracks are now done. We've got a couple of washes on there. As you know, I sprayed them in the XF84, and I've put a couple of brown washes on them, the light brown and the dark brown, and just let that sort of dry overnight. And as you can see now, we've got a kind of, let's get the light a bit better. We've got a nice sort of matte and dirty look to them. So now what I want to do is add some pigments. So I'm going to add the pigments to this side. They will work through. I've got this very old set here of Sand and Earth pigment set from MIG. This is probably 20 years old. So in fact even more than that. So basically we're just going to get some of this, and I've got a dirty old cutting mat, as you can see down here, and the paper, and I'm just going to add this to the tracks, random areas, just sort of knock it about a bit. I'm not going to go too mad with it, and just basically just brush this in, push it into the tracks, And this one is called Europe Dust. So there's all different colours in here. You can get all the different colours, and these days I think MIG Ammo has sort of taken over the aftermarket stuff with pigments and stuff, but they're all basically the same. You get the flory ones. They're sort of not as fine as some of the others, but they do have a nice range of colours. And if you look at my various videos, you'll see me using them in various different projects. So there we go, right. That's it, we got basically some dust and dirt on there in random areas. And then I have here Pigment Fixer, which I think is basically enamel thinners. I don't think it's anything other than that. And then what we're going to do is dip our brush in here and just literally tap the areas where there's pigment, and that will just sort of fix it into place. It does knock it back a bit. You do lose some of the effect. The idea is not to go brushing it on, because then what you do is you'll turn the pigment into a wash. But what this does, it just sort of locks the pigment in place. It doesn't need to be perfect or thorough. It's just, you will get pigment coming off. Notice I haven't done the pads yet. The pads are still covered in paint. There we go. So that is that done. So I'll get the other one done, and then we'll leave it for a couple of hours to dry, and I'll show you how it looks. Alright, so here we are, like 2 weeks later now. We've done lots of other stuff in between, but the tracks are nice and dry, as you can imagine. I've given the outside edges a quick dry brush with some silver. I still haven't cleaned the pads off yet, but as you can see, we've got some rusty, muddy, dirty sort of look to them, and they're not looking too bad at all. Okay, and as you can see, they're also very, very flexible. These are the quick tracks, as you know. So what I've done, I've gone through my pigments, and these are probably older than most of you watching this. These are the old MIG pigments, and these are Sand and Earth, and in here we have a colour called Europe Dust. Berlin's in Europe, so I'm guessing sort of, I mean, there's brick dust there, which I suppose I could use. You've got Europe dust there. You can see the different colours. This is brick, this is Europe. So we could do a mix of it. We've got American Earth as well, which is slightly redder. I thought I had Russian Earth as well, but I don't seem to be able to find it. We've got some beach sand, which isn't appropriate. But we can use this one here. This is the Europe Dust. So what I'm going to do is just put some of this on these tracks now, and then just in random places just brush it on, because we don't want them to be continuously, you know, if we want them this colour, we just paint them this colour, but we want some random sort of looks, like the tracks have picked up dirt in certain areas and not in others. Okay, this brush is absolutely knackered. I only ever use knackered brushes for this, but I think this one, I think you'll agree, that's a bit beyond knackered. In fact, it's no longer a brush really, is it? So I think we'll just put that in the bin, and we'll grab something else. There's this thing here. This is a tacky old thing. That's better. We can brush it in, push it in with this as well. So we'll get some of this on here. And this is not a lesson in how to weather. I am not very good at weathering. It's something I don't particularly enjoy. I enjoy sort of, like you'll see me do very soon, which I've just made a video of, the Havoc, you know, making the cockpit look used, and, you know, tonal effect changes and all that. But I don't enjoy mud. I don't mind streaking and stuff, but I don't particularly enjoy mud. So there we go. So you can see now straight away the difference in those two. In fact, you probably can't because you're whited out. but you can see now the difference in those two straight away. This one looks a lot more realistic. I've just chucked the bloody brush on the floor, but you can see now this one looks a lot more sort of realistic with dust on it and stuff. And what's happened earlier today, I was chatting to Luke on Luke of Black Rifle Model Works. Black Rifle Model Works. And he's the guy that's running the group build that this is part of. And I said, I need some inspiration. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And he said, you have to bear in mind, you know, because it's Berlin, it won't be plastered in mud and everything, which is one of the reasons I did it. Although I have got some pictures in the book that Philip sent me, and there's some in there that are quite muddy, but they didn't stay like that for very long, I'm sure. And he said, you know, just go for sort of dust effects with pigments and stuff like that. Mate, you're a star, thank you. You've just kicked me off, because I know you about using pigments on the tracks and stuff, but I hadn't really thought about it on the wheels and that. And to be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing, so I've got to be a bit careful. And, you know, I do stuff on camera and I'll get pulled for it, and that's fine. You're going to pull me up if I'm doing it wrong, because I'm sure I'm getting everything wrong. All I know is it's very, very dirty. So I'm going to turn over and do the same on this side. And as you can see, we've got pigment that we picked up. So we can just brush that around and it will go in to all the gaps in all the tracks. Some of you armour modelers, you can tell me, do you just leave your pigments like this as a dust? I mean, surely they must all come off. I'd be interested to know. But we can see there we've now got the dust, and I purposely put the silver paint on first so that the dust goes over the paint, because the silver is basically freshly scratched metal which hasn't rusted yet, and the dirt would be on top of it, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be underneath it. So there we go. So you can see now that's all looking pretty dusty, dirty, rusty and everything, which is just what we want. So we can rub that around in there, pick up those pigments, rub that around in there, pick up those pigments. Right, here we go then. So let's get this moving around. Let's get a bit more on here. There we go. And then what we've got to do is come around afterwards with the task of rubbing the paint off. This is the way these were designed. It's the way Greg designed them, so that you can rub the paint off and have the track pads, the correct colour for the track pads. And then we'll give them a coat of matte varnish, matte clear, just to seal them in. Be good to go. Right, so there we are. So that's that. And I think what I'll do now is give them some pigment fixer. And I'll do this quickly here. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it with that brush because that's way too big. I think I shall use... Where's my one? Where is it? There it is. This one here. So we can just pick up some of the pigment fixer and we'll just touch it. Touch it on in certain areas, it'll capillary, it'll spread. It'll certainly soak through to the other side. I think this is just enamel thinners, guys. You have to be careful with a lot of these products. These companies, they'll put stuff in a bottle. I mean, that is enamel thinners for sure. I have heard people say you can use Tamiya thinners to fix it as well, but as I say, I'm ruining my nice clean mat here as well. But, I'm not a military modeler. And I'll be totally honest with you, those of you that follow my channel, you'll remember I was doing a 1/16 scale Stug, and that's where I stopped. As soon as it came to weathering, nah. I need to get that finished because it'll look so good when it's done, because it is a lovely model. And I also got that new Daswork 251 to do as well. There we go. So that can be left to sort itself out, and then we'll be good to clean up the track pads. So that's that done. So happy with that. Right, what about the wheels? So let's just get these tracks and roll them up so we can put them out of the way, because I need to clean my bench up and everything. These tracks are really nice. They really are. I mean, look how easy they roll up. They're lovely. And they're so sharp. They almost hurt your fingers. The edges are so sharp on them. They're so realistic. They really are lovely. I want to thank them very much for sending them to me, because they are a vast improvement over the kit parts. And if they weren't, you know I wouldn't say they were. Remember, the first ones they sent me were a problem, and I told you I wouldn't tell you they're brilliant just because they gave them to me. I never do that with any products, guys. Right, so I don't know why I put this away. Wheels. Right, let's have a little experiment first on the back of one. So we'll get some of this dust and just brush it in, because we've got these in the wheels. There's a groove. You can see in the wheels there's a groove in the rim. It's all correctly molded, and that will get picked up by the that's good, just tap it and a lot of it comes out. So pigment fixer, need to be a little bit careful with this, guys, because certain models the pigment fixer may well attack the plastic, so be careful. I think particularly Bandai is one. Put the pigment fixer in there and you can see that's all gone like that, and when it dries out it will look just like it's dust, but it will be kind of held in place. So we can do the same on here. Just brush it on. November the 1st today, guys. November already. We could get this one nice and dirty. They seem to be randomly dirty and clean. Some have oil leaks as well. We'll try and depict that with a bit of gloss varnish perhaps. There we go. So that should dry and look lovely. So I'll do the rest and then we'll come back and see how it looks. In fact, what I might do is let that one dry out and see how it looks before I go and ruin the rest. I think that'd be a good idea, don't you? Okay, so we're all done now. I use paper and then you fold it up and you can get the pigment back in the jar. As you can see, these are drying out. This is the first one I did, and that was like an hour and a half ago. And you can see it's still not dry, but we can see the effect we're going to get with the sort of splashed about dirt and stuff, and then we got the dirt built up in that rim. That was what I wanted. And then what I'm going to do is a bit of gloss varnish and try and sort of make some, look, I've got some oil leaks or something. I don't know. I'll see when we get there. But basically, quite happy with how it's looking. That was obviously the second one I did. You can see they're sort of out of order. We've got the backs are still green there, and you can see the dirt on them. But yeah, this is what I wanted. Was like here you've got next to nothing dirt-wise, but there we've got quite a bit built up in the rim. So that's the kind of effect I'm looking for, is having this uneven sort of, you know, I don't want everything to be covered in dust, because that's not how they were looking at the pictures I've got. Obviously when they were out in the field everything got caked in mud, but with these they were sort of very well looked after, kept very clean, and obviously only the hardest deposits remained in place, and then I guess they attracted more dust to build up and stick to them. But happy with that, really happy with the tracks, really happy with how the tracks look. And like I say, we'll come along now with a cotton bud with some thinners. I will remove the paint from there, and that'll give us our track pad, and that's going to be a tedious little job. I won't bore you with watching me do that, but I'll do it and then explain what I did, and then I'll give them a coat of flat varnish just to seal everything in. So I'm going to call it a day for there. I can't even remember what this video's covered, because it's been made over the course of a month, maybe even 6 weeks. I'll have to look at when I put the last part up. I can't even remember which part number this is, so I'm really sorry, but I really did hit a brick wall with this weathering. But hopefully now I can keep myself going and get this thing done. I mean, with all this beautiful paintwork and stuff, it's so, you know, it just absolutely deserves to be finished, because it's lovely. It's and it's lots and lots and lots of work, lots of planning. We got all these bits on here to go on the body. You can see those beautiful baskets. They're actually out of the box. This whole kit, other than the tracks, is out of the box. So yeah, very, very happy. Right, so I've also got antenna to go on it, which was sent to me. And I've also got, Phil sent me some little tiny wing nuts to go on where they clamp on the bottom, so they're going to look really interesting as well. So thank you for watching. Please stick around, don't get too bored. and I will be back with this, and it will get finished. I mean, it's part of a group build, and it's got to be finished by the end of December anyway, but I hope to get it done before then. And really, it is practically finished, because once we get some dirt around here, we get the tracks on, then it's just a case of putting all the greeblies on and building it up. I'll probably just give it a wash, maybe a filter or something, just to sort of break it all up a little bit, and yeah, not break it up, sort of blend it in a little bit more than anything. We'll keep that back in its box. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon for this 1+1. I think this is part 17, isn't it? I can't remember now. Right, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.